It was a typical English-American word. It flowed. McDonald's. It was easy for the kids to say and remember. And I liked the sound of it. It sounded wholesome and it sounded genuine, you know?
When you're creating something, the identity is one of the most important things. It's something that distinguishes one thing from another and also gives its uniqueness. It's not just about the name, but the personality that it brings to the thing. Otherwise, it's very common to see how art influences on the choice of a name, maybe by a song, a movie, or a book character. Today we'll talk about some famous brands and characters that were influenced by literature. Long John Silver is an American chain of fast food restaurants founded in 1969 in Kentucky. The restaurant is specialized in seafood and today has more than 600 units around the world. The restaurant's name is based on the character Long John Silver from Robert Louis Stevenson's masterpiece The Treasure Island, published in 1882. In the book, Long John Silver is the ship's one-legged cook. His role in the plot is just as important as the main character, Jim Hawkins, as long as he organizes a riot during the trip to the Treasure Island. Long John Silver is one of the most influential characters in literature history, especially because his depiction defined the stereotype of pirates. At the end of the book, he gets a sort of redemption. Here's a comparison where we can see the similarities between the restaurant mascot and a depiction of Long John Silver. Well, we hope they don't organize a riot against McDonald's or KFC. Finding Nemo is a 2003 Disney movie about a young clownfish who goes against his father and ends up being captured by a diver. The event leads his father to an adventure across the seas searching for his son. As we see in the movie, Nemo was the only survivor of a barracuda attack. This leads to the question, why did he survive? He has nothing special. He's a nobody. Nemo means nobody in Latin, but the choice for the character's name came from an 1870s Jules Verne book, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Captain Nemo is one of the most famous characters in literature history. He is the captain of a submarine called Nautilus that, even for today, is an extremely technological machine. Nemo has a unique and dubious personality wrapped in a dark past. The only thing we know about his past is that he was an Indian prince called Dakar. At the ending of the book, Nemo, his crew and his submarine disappear somewhere near Norway. At time 2000 Leagues Under the Sea was a huge success and people around the world were asking, where does Nemo went? 5 years later, Jules Verne answered the question on the mysterious island. There's also a place on Earth called the Point Nemo that is known as the world's most isolated spot, as a reference of where Nemo went after the events of the book. Ajax is a Dutch football club founded in 1900. The club became worldly famous during the 70s, when they counted with one of the greatest football players ever, Johan Cruyff. Ajax is also the greatest champion of Netherlands with 36 league titles, 20 cups and 4 Champions League titles. The club name and their emblem were inspired by a Greek hero described in Homer's Iliad, Ajax, the Great. Ajax was one of the heroes in Greek mythology who took part in the Trojan War. Homer describes Ajax as of great stature, colossal frame, and the strongest of all the Achaeans, one of the groups involved in the battle. It sounds like a nice name to one of the greatest clubs in the world. The Hulk is a Marvel comic book superhero created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in 1962. The character is divided into two parts, one being the scientist Dr. David Bruce Banner and the other a green-skinned monster known as the Hulk. On an interview given to the Rolling Stone magazine, Stan Lee said, I was getting tired of the normal superheroes and I was talking to my publisher. He said, "What kind of new hero can we come up with?" I said, "How about a good monster?" He just walked out of the room. I remember Jekyll and Hyde and the Frankenstein movie with Boris Karloff, and it always seemed to me that the monster was really the good guy. We're talking about another Robert Louis Stevenson's book. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is an 1886 book that tells the story of one person divided on two different personalities, being one a scientist and the other a kind of a monster. These two personalities are divided on a good and evil dilemma, while Dr. Jekyll has a lack of control on his murderous alter ego, Mr. Hyde. This conception led Stan Lee to create The Incredible Hulk on 1962. Although the conception is from Stevenson's book, the visual was inspired by Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from 1818. On May 1962, The Incredible Hulk 1 was published by Marvel, in which the Hulk was grey, while the Frankenstein monster was yellow. Nike is a sports multinational corporation founded on 1964, although the name Nike only came in 1971. Nike is one of the biggest brands in the world today, sponsoring athletes from all types of sports around the world. The inspiration for the name came from the Greek mythology as the Greek goddess of victory, Nike. Nike is described in Hesiod's Theogony as the daughter of the giant Pallas and the infernal river Styx. Nike is referenced as the judge of excellence between men and gods, not only in sports but especially in combat during wars. During the Greek period, it was common to see Nike's statue erecting a trophy or using her wings wide open, symbolizing victory. The Nike logo, usually called the whoosh, is a reference to Nike's wings.
We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Today, Apple is the most valuable company in the world, but it wasn't always like that. In the 1980s, Apple was on a direct fight against IBM, claiming that its rival was trying to monopolize the computer market in the world. To prove their point, Apple created what many consider to be the greatest commercial of all time that you've just watched. The commercial is a reference to the most famous dystopia in literature history, 1984, by George Orwell. In the commercial, IBM is implied in the figure of the Big Brother, the antagonist of 1984. Big Brother imposes his dictatorship through fear, but mainly through technology. Big Brother's political party has monopoly on both information and goods in circulation. The book was written in 1949, so 1984 is a future dystopia, even though it was inspired by the Stalinist USSR. Furthermore, Big Brother also manipulates the truth and the free speech. At its time, the commercial was an absolute success, mainly because of the phrase, 1984 won't be like 1984. The sentence has a double impact. First, it references to the breaking of IBM's monopoly, here compared to the power of Big Brother. Second, because it says that 1984 would not look like 1984 in terms of technology, while Apple was developing a futuristic product for ahead of its time. You might wonder if the commercial worked. Well, look around and say if you see more Apple or IBM devices around you. Just like Steve Jobs said, the reason that Apple is able to create products like the iPad is because we've always tried to be at an intersection of technology and the liberal arts. Literature, as a liberal art, influenced the world yesterday, influences the world today, and will influence the world tomorrow. As long as there is art, there will be inspiration.